Universal Century 0077. After the declaration of independence by Zeon, revolutionary ideas also spread to other colonies. While in most colonies these amounted to nothing, in Site 6 the tension was gradually rising. Seeing an opportunity here, Zeon dispatched a mobile suit squadron as a show of force against the Federation and in order to assist the revolutionaries. This historic moment was the first time that mobile suits were deployed in real combat and also led to the eventual independence of Site 6. And one of the pilots of those deployed Zaku 1s was Captain Gadem. In today's episode of Gundam Lore, we're having a look at Gadem's actions prior to the 1-year war together with his Zaku 1. When he returned home after assisting the Site 6 independence movement, he had a chat with his best pal and mechanic Gordon. He was asked how his first combat went, but Gadem wasn't all that thrilled about it. Rather than actual combat, it was more just him pointing his giant gun at them and them immediately surrendering. Gordon laughed and couldn't really blame the opposing soldiers. Just imagine a giant mech showing up out of nowhere and pointing his gun at you, you would probably do the same thing. And it wasn't going to stop with the Zaku 1. They were already hard at work on the successor of the MS-05, the MS-06. Gordon exclaimed that the age of the mobile suit had now truly begun. But for now they had other things to focus on, like a bottle of liquor that wasn't going to finish itself. Fittingly, a propaganda video of the MS-06C Zaku 2 was playing on the television while they were drinking. Gadem asked him when he was finally going to take a vacation, to which Gordon replied October. His son and daughter-in-law had just gotten a baby, and with war looming on the horizon, now was the time to visit them before it was going to be too late. He also told Gadem that he should definitely visit them as well. You couldn't miss the house. It was located in Kinsum, had a bright red roof, a big garden, and beautiful flowers all over the place. Gadem finished his drink and told Gordon that he was looking forward to hearing all of those grandpa stories. Come October, the Principality of Zeon began to mobilize in preparation for war with the Federation. However, not everyone was keen on fighting this war that the Zabi so desperately wanted. This resulted in coup d'etat forces rallying in Kinsum. To prevent the situation from escalating any further, it was decided to immediately send out a mobile suit squadron to deal with them, and the man who would lead them into battle would be Captain Gadem. Upon hearing the location of the rebels though, he immediately got a bad feeling. With no time to waste, he launched with his team, but by the time they got to Kinsum, fighting had already spread throughout the city. Unlike the previous battle though, these men did not simply surrender upon seeing the mobile suits and even make the first strike against them. After this, everything went by extremely quickly. Gadem gave the order to counterattack, and they were able to quickly deal with the rebels, their tanks, and their APCs. Nothing they could field even stood a chance against the mobile suit. But it was at that time that Gadem's bad feeling was confirmed. Amidst the fighting, he saw the ruins of a house with a red roof and a big garden filled with burning flowers. While Gadem was stopped in shock, a rebel tank snuck up on him and attempted to take him out. Filled with sorrow and hatred, Gadem turned around before the tank could fire, sliced it in half, and told the remaining rebels that the game was up. If they didn't surrender now, the only thing they would achieve was getting themselves slaughtered. Whether or not they listened to Gadem's plea, we'll never know. But what we do know is that officially speaking, the mission was a complete success. With only minor losses, none of which were mobile suits, Gadem and his team had succeeded in stopping the Anti-Zabi coup d'etat forces. To Gadem though, those minor losses were more than just a statistic. The story ends with Gadem visiting Gordon's grave and telling him about how, given his age, he was assigned as a captain of a supply ship. He also told him that he'd keep using the mobile suits that Gordon had put his heart and soul in creating, which was perhaps the reason why this old veteran was so foolhardy in his attempts to beat the Gundam with his Zaku 1. Maybe what was at stake wasn't just his pride, but also the pride of his best friend. Whatever the case, it wouldn't be long before both would again be able to share a drink in the afterlife.
このザクとてわしと百戦錬磨の戦いの中をくぐり抜けてきたのだ。岩場作りの連邦軍のモビルスーツなど一撃で倒してみせるわ。わあ！素人め、間合いが遠いわ。
And that is all for this episode of Gundam Lore, and it was another really good one. I will admit that the dead flags for Gordon were being piled up in the beginning, but what surprised me the most was that this story actually managed to get me to care about Gadem. Previously, he was just like that old captain who insists on fighting the Gundam with his old Zaku 1, but now his actions during the anime get quite a bit more meaning to them. And it's those kind of stories that I really like seeing in manga. One mistake that I did notice though is that Zeon supporting Side 6's independence supposedly takes place during July of Universal Century 0079. This of course should have been 0077 or 0078, although I can't say for sure which one would be correct. 0077 would make the most sense as it would link closer to Side 6's official independence, which was declared on April of Universal Century 0077. And 0078 would make the most sense for the rest of the story because Gordon goes on vacation in October, and that is correctly listed as October of Universal Century 0078. But hey, a minor issue for a story that I otherwise very much enjoyed and will totally become part of my personal headcanon. The amazing art of the Gundam Legacy manga is of course also always appreciated, just as I always appreciate all of my Patreon supporters. I hope that everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.